Hi, hola, hola, Facebook. Okay, I'm going to give everyone a couple minutes to get on here while I figure out the back end. Awesome. Yay, we're live. Hello, everybody. I'm here with my friend Oscar, who I'm going to give a formal introduction to in just a moment. But I'm going to give people a couple minutes to log on. And I'm so excited for this interview because this has been a long time coming. I've been wanting to interview Oscar on here in this group for a long time. Those of you who know me know that. So just let me see who's on here. Check on Facebook that we're live. Yay, there we are. Okay, cool. So, welcome to those of you joining live. Feel free to put questions if you have them for Oscar in the question box, and then you can we'll ask him at the end after I get done with my questions. So, welcome to 11:11, this magic portal, at 11 o'clock our time, Mountain Standard Time. My name's Hollis Bailey. I'm the founder of this group, Remember Your Magic. I'm a coach and an apprentice of Oscar. So Oscar's been my teacher for the last year, which seems like 20 or 30 years. Seems like way longer. But I met Oscar here in Los Cabos. As you can tell, we're here in Los Cabos in southern Baja. So I'll let Oscar introduce himself and tell you more about his story, but we met through medicine, ayahuasca, bufo, combo. Oscar's an incredible medicine man and one I'm so lucky to have as a teacher and as a friend and as a brother. And we're on here today specifically to talk about all things ayahuasca. So I know that I get a lot of questions thrown at me in terms of, is ayahuasca safe? What's a ceremony like? How does it work? What's going to happen? So we're going to ask Oscar all of those questions today. And if questions come up for you, like I said, please put them in the comment box and then we can ask them at the end. So let's get started by first, Oscar, I want to ask you how you found the medicine path. Just tell us a little bit of your story, how you got started, what you've learned, anything that you want to share in regards to your personal story.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Hollis, for inviting me.
Thank you.
Well, as sometimes we say, we don't find ayahuasca or medicine. The medicine finds us. I guess whoever is up for the service, for all the brothers and sisters of humanity. Well, I started this path around 10 years ago, starting around December 21st of
2012? The magical date when the world was going to end?
Yeah. So I went to some spiritual conferences and meetings and ceremonies, and from there on, a lot of things came in my life, in my way. I met new wonderful people, brothers and sisters that are in this path of ceremonies and connection with elements and medicine. So one thing led to another. I started helping one of my friends to organize sweat lodges, temazcales we call it here, in Mexico. And then I kept doing sweat lodges for 1 year. And then we finished that period and we started to do, I started to look for more ceremonies and options. So I met other brothers and sisters that they they had the medicine, the Abuelita, the Ayahuasca. So I heard about the ayahuasca a long time before, but I thought I needed to go to Amazon. So that was like Mission Impossible. But then, so the medicine came here to Cabo to almost knock my door. So it was one of my friends, and she has been also facilitating medicine for a long time, more than 10 years. So I went to one of her ceremonies, and at that time I realized what I came for to this life. I didn't see myself like praying with medicine, sharing medicine, but I specifically ayahuasca made me feel and showed me who I really am. And
In one ceremony.
in one ceremony, the first one, the very first one, and that I came for service to humanity. And I knew that since I was little, but I didn't know how, where, how it's going to come up. And by that time, I was like, okay, so this is the way. Maybe I don't know about the ayahuasca or sharing it, but to share consciousness and all these things. Then um, I met my teacher from Peru because we started to organize more ceremonies, and one of these shamans was now my teacher. He's from Pucallpa, Peru, uh, from the tribe Shipibo-Conibo. So he invited me to go there to his center, his healing center, and to learn more about the medicines and more power plants, others than ayahuasca, that work together in the spiritual world. So we can have like a container during the ceremony where all these guardians plants.
I personally love Luca likes the altar items. He's very interested in joining us on this live. So there's a few things that Oscar mentioned that I'm going to touch on and ask Oscar about, because the first one, I want to go back to your initiation and talk about that, because personally for me, I've also had the path of only working ever with shamans from the Shipibo-Conibo tribe. The medicine also found me in Oregon. I did over 30 ceremonies in Oregon starting about 10 years ago. So there are a lot of other people using the medicine in the Amazon where it comes from. But one question I want to ask and start with is, why do you think the medicine is reaching so far and wide?
Because the same, all the things that are happening, the energy that is coming through the earth, it has to be allowed with these also called solar flares that bring us this information to the consciousness. So all the spirit plants, not only ayahuasca, but all the power plants that are here to help humanity.
When you say power plants, can you give us a few examples?
Well, there are a lot of them, even that we don't even know. But we're talking about like ayahuasca, talking about the Rudacidia, talking about the pescovite, all these plants that have this particle that is called the um, gut molecule, which is DMT. All these spirits, they knew that there will be a time where they will need to reach to humanity to rise up the consciousness. And this is what is happening now. That's why a lot of medicines are coming out from the earth, and more and more every time we are discovering that everything has DMT, all things, a lot of plants, and we just are discovering how to get the God molecule out of all these plants, because that's why they are here for.
Beautiful. So, one more question to start off, before we get into a little bit more about how ceremony works. Why? Because most of us, and if you haven't heard of ayahuasca, it's called the grandmother, or la abuelita, and you mentioned that. So can you tell people specifically, if they haven't heard of that, why did they call ayahuasca la abuelita, the grandmother?
Well, this is like a name that people have given to this sacred plant, because at the moment that you take the medicine and you start feeling, you feel it inside of you, and then you start feeling this like it's hugging you, like your grandmother would do, right? Like, it's okay. You don't have to worry about anything. Don't be afraid. You will, heal whatever you need to heal, but with love. It's always with, universal love that this medicine has. So we feel it as a grandmother. So that's what we call it, Abuelita, in traditions of all America, South America.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I can say that too. It's more of like the essence of the spirit of the plant, and it doesn't matter if you've done medicines or if you've never tried medicine. If you are hearing this, it's probably a calling. Like Oscar said, like the medicine always finds you. I never went searching for any medicine on my path. It always just came up in my path, and I've heard that from all of the medicine women and men that I know of. Unless they were, of course, born into a family who's been using medicine for their whole lives, but it is like it's like a spirit. That's why the grandmother. It's a hug. It's a little bit of tough love sometimes, but there's always an essence of being held and being protected and being reminded, just like our ancestors would remind us of who we are. That's really been my experience too. So why would someone want to use ayahuasca?
Why would someone use?
What are some of the things? You can use personal stories that you've seen it help people go through, or just why would someone even want to do a ceremony?
Well, because the person will feel that they must do something, or this person feel like must do something, like out of the normal things that we usually do in our normal life to make changes. A lot of people now feel like they need to make changes in their lives, and also that there are many things from their past, that are affecting their present, and mostly emotional. So if they hear that somebody that they knew, they did the experience, they did the ceremony, they took ayahuasca, and that these persons have improved, and they're they are more happy than before, then that's why people feel that they, this plant might help them, or this kind of experiences might help their life in many ways, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, uh, getting to know more of themselves. Yes, so it's a lot of reasons. If you hear about the medicine, any ways that somebody did it, somebody that you know, is the medicine is already around you. You know, it's already, you already heard about it. So it's just a matter of that you open the gate, open the door, so she can come into your life.
And does the medicine work the same for everyone?
No, it works different for everyone. Every each of person have their own experience because it's according to their life experience. We all have um, personal experiences. So that's how the medicine works. It shows you what you have been through since you were kid, since you were in your mother's womb, even. So you have your own story, your own path. So she will show you what you have been through. There are some experiences that are similar, but mostly it's more personal.
That's another reason I think that the grandmother is such a good word for her, because in my experience, just receiving the medicine, I always get shown exactly what I need, whether it's has to do with my intention or not. She tells me exactly what I need to know in the moment to be able to, for it's really for my greater healing. So I may go in asking a certain question or really wanting to know about something and come out with a completely different experience. So I really think it's and that's the same with a lot of psychedelic medicines, but particularly ayahuasca, having the name of the grandmother, she really knows what's best for you. And even to work with her in the way that Oscar has, and the way people come onto this path and may want to do one ceremony and may end up doing 30 ceremonies or more in their lifetime. There's always like another pull to come back if you see like if you feel like there's more to work with. Let's get into the conversation about another huge question I get asked all the time is, what is a ceremony like? Like, what do you do in ceremony? How do you prepare people? What happens in a ceremony? What time of day is it? How long does it last? All of that.
Well, I first I do an introduction of myself, my background, so people feel more comfortable, who they are with, who's going to guide their experience, and then I give a explanation about what this medicine is, where it comes from, how is it made, who make it. It's very important that people know where the medicine comes from, and the person who's given it knows what where the medicine comes from, right? And
I'm going to interrupt you for just a second, because this is something I tell all the time. There's a resource in this group. It's called Psychedelic Safety Guide, but this is actually a huge, huge piece if ayahuasca has come onto your path, because it has become really commercialized. So it is important to know where it comes from, for all of the reasons. It's just like any other medicine that's become exploited. There can be ingredients that aren't the safest. There can be people giving the medicine who don't know what they're doing. And I wanted to point that out, because with Oscar, again, I think I've just had really good luck on my path. I've never been in the hands of someone who doesn't know how to work with the medicine in the way that Oscar has. Like, Oscar's been through a huge initiation and has a huge connection to the place where the medicine comes from. And I feel that every ceremony that I do with Oscar, the medicine is so pure and it's so clean and it's so loved, like just really, really loved. It hasn't been handled by a lot of other people. So I just wanted to throw that in there, because it's something that I talk about a lot with medicines. Any medicine that you use is important to know where it comes from. So
yeah, so it's That's very important. After I do that conversation about the explanation about the medicine, then I tell people, I explain how this medicine might make you feel the symptoms that you will start feeling. Some of them might come up, some of them not or different, but I do like a general explanation what you might feel or start feeling, and then how it's going to work through the night because the ceremonies are during the night. Usually the strongest experience is between 4 and 6 hours. Uh, so that's then it starts to how you say
To just
lower
come down a little bit.
come down. I explain them how what you might see, what you might feel, what you can do if fear comes during your experience because the medicine might show you something that you don't want to see or you think is something bad.
It's the notorious bad trip.
Yeah, so that's mostly because people are afraid to face themselves.
I said that as a joke, the notorious bad trip, but it's something that people are really concerned about when using medicine. I had bad trips before I started working with people like Oscar. So what do you do when someone starts to come up against that fear, starts feeling really uncomfortable? How do you support them?
Well, first in the talk that I do, I kind of give them some tips that they can do if this fear comes up. Don't try to fight against the fear. Instead, kind of like recognize it as teacher energy that is being in your life, that is being showing you a lot of things and gives you strength for do others. So see that energy of fear as a teacher, not as something bad, and recognize it. And this energy, all it wants is to be recognized. And once you do that, it will just leave you alone and let you have your experience. So this is one recommendation that I give when fear comes up, and sometimes that energy it feels like darkness or shadow or something that you feel bad, or it will become like flowers or rainbow or animal or colors. So it's this is the power we have to transform to change the energy. And of course, you're going to change the way your experience is going.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a beautiful explanation. It's it's like there's a saying that says right on the other side of fear is love. Oftentimes, for example, when I have started to purge or started to go into experience like that fear, darkness myself, either I'll have an emotion or sometimes you can purge with the medicine. And right on the other side of that, it's like she's giving you this opportunity to just see it, recognize it. Just like Oscar said so beautifully, it's like seeing it, recognizing it, not trying to push it away anymore like we do. All of our suffering is the cause of us resisting something. So when we can surrender to that, which ayahuasca really gives you the opportunity to surrender. surrender over and over and over. But it's in a beautiful way because you continue to see like it's not as scary as you think it is, or it's not as big of an obstacle as you've been making it out to be. And that is the part when you can go after ceremony, start to bring it in and integrate it into your life. So those some emotions that you might be resisting feeling, or a conversation that you might be resisting having with your partner, or just just an openness and a willingness to be more open-hearted in your life. After ceremony, you'll start to realize that that's what all that fear was.
And I say, okay, talk to fear and say, okay, I've been fighting with you my whole life. So I think it's time to like make peace with you, and instead of fighting against you, I give it love. Give love to fear, and that's a big transformation process. Make it your friend. I say, right? Why to fight is uh, we've been fighting for many a long time. So it's time to have make love, and give to that fear too.
Ah, that's so beautiful.
Mhm.
What other questions do I have? I have so many. Okay. If someone has never done any medicine, but has heard of ayahuasca because it has become such a popular practice, ceremonial thing, is it safe for someone to do? Is it safe for anyone, everyone?
Yes, for most people, there are some things that the person who's guiding or providing the medicine have to consider, like persons that have a situation with heart. They have a heart situation history. I don't know how to call it. It's recommended not to do like a full ceremony or have like a strong dose. And you have to be very careful with people. I usually uh, do like an interview with each person who's doing the ceremony. And they have to be very honest, and actually I give them like a form to fill if they have taken any antidepressants, and are they under medication, psychiatric medication.
Yeah, mostly for antidepressants, like they're called SSRIs.
Right. Yeah.
Contraindication.
So people who is under those medicines, they should not be taking it um, for a period of time prior their ceremony. But it's very important that if you have one of these persons that even they have stopped taking it, the portion is not the same as everyone. You have to know which people will need normal dose and which person will need less dose. It's not like it's the same for everyone, because depends on their condition, depends on their openness to receive the medicine. If the person is very mentally active, you say, then the person who's giving the medicine should know what quantity will give to each person.
Yeah, Oscar's an expert at getting to know you. Again, well, I've only sat with you in smaller ceremonies. I know you do bigger ceremonies, but that's another thing I really love about your work, is that you do the one-on-one interviews. You get to know that person really, really well. That leads me to another question. So when you're in ceremony working with people, can you explain a little bit more about how you're working with the plants that you've integrated and the energies and how you...
Yeah, well, the ceremony, when after I explain all this about the how the medicine is going to work, and what you're going to feel and all this, I also give an explanation what I'm going to be doing during the ceremony, during the night. So we take usually the medicine. We wait around 20 minutes to 40 minutes, sometimes 1 hour, in order for the medicine to go into your system, your blood and your nervous system, until it gets to your pineal gland. And then I start praying with chants and songs from the tribe that I go in the Amazon, and they have shared with me. So before all this energy starts to move and move around, I do a protection prayer for I call up the guardians, all these spirits from the plants that I go and do diets with them. So I call up on the energy, their spirit, and also our guides, our master guides, angels, archangels, all these light beings. So I call up on all these helpers of light, so they can contain also this ceremony, right? To protect. Um, and then during the night, I clean up the space, the energy, and protect. Always keep protecting and cleaning the circle and also the persons. So I use in these ceremonies, we use a lot of tobacco, type of tobacco that is called mapacho, that is especially ceremonial for these for these kind of ceremonies. So I during the night, sorry, I keep blowing tobacco in the space and their bodies of the person. So I clean up the energies that have been coming out, and, and, and to protect their energy, their body, their spirit. So it's very, very safe to be in this ceremony if the person knows what he's doing.
Thank you for that. So if someone's coming into ceremony, is healthy, has done a good preparation, is safe to take the medicine, which is almost everyone except for people with, like Oscar mentioned, on antidepressants, on medication, or has been diagnosed with a severe mental illness. Is there a risk of death?
No, not from ayahuasca. No, if you have heard comments or you have seen information, I think it has to do a lot with what the person have. If that person has been honest on what they say to the shamans, right? If they have taken any medicine or any other thing, any other substance, if they're not honest and they don't tell the shaman the truth, or about their health, how they are doing, in every way, mentally, psychologically, physically, if they're not totally honest with the shaman, they can they're it can be well, like dangerous. In this case, so it's not the medicine that will make effect, a bad effect in you. It's the things that you have done or you have physically, that does this effect. But from drinking ayahuasca, nobody has died ever. Just ayahuasca is not something that the people die for.
I had to ask the question because it's a question I get asked all the time.
Yes, of course.
I always say I've done probably maybe 35 to 40 ceremonies now, and I always have a sense of fear before going in. And I describe it as a part of my ego, a part of my being, the way it is today, is probably not going to be the same way after the medicine. So in a better way. I mean, it always changes me for the better. So that's what I like to help explain to people going into ceremonies. It's more of an anxiety, fear about something that you are going to let go of or might see, like we just talked about in the ceremony, that you might have been resisting for a really long time, that might seem really scary. Let's get to, there's one question. Hi, Courtney. Courtney's on here. So Courtney asked, what can you tell us a little bit more about the preparation for ceremony?
Preparation was the information that we always give to the participants at least 1 or 2 weeks before, to have a special diet, eat healthy food, not to eat red meat or any kind of meat actually, if possible. um, no alcohol, no other substance. Even people that usually smoke cannabis, then I told them, we tell them not to, at least for 1 week. But if they can do more, then it's always better. Yeah, there's a list of things that people should do before, prior the ceremonies, preparation, and also to prepare psychologically, mentally, like not to pay attention or not to watch like disturbing news and like horror movies and all these low vibration information that is coming to your mind. So we must keep as clean as possible from all these toxic information, and also about the food that we eat.
Thank you. What about integration? How does the medicine work after you end ceremony? I love what Oscar says, but you can say it.
I always do an integration circle, which is very important for me, because that way is like a feedback for everyone else that we are in the circle. And sometimes things that you might not understand during your experience, if some person did say one word, that would be like a whole meaning for you, right? So it's very, very important. And then after the ceremony, I always say, okay, the real ceremony starts when the ceremony ends, right? So because now we can see that the actual ceremony is our life, right? That we start to see our life as a sacred ceremony. How we act, how we speak, how we speak to others, and first to ourselves. How we respect our body, our temple, and how to respect ourselves, how not to judge much anymore our process, and then to others, how we talk to our parents, our brothers or sisters, our families, our friends, everyone. So that's the real ceremony, is life. This is the real ceremony. So we start to feel that. So that's what I say. After we finish the ritual, the ceremony. So now the work that the medicine has shown you that you have to work on, all these changes that you feel that you need to go through, then you take action. Because medicine does one part, shows you, makes you feel, shows you the truth, but then you have to go out there in normal life, everyday life, and make those changes, right? Make it happen yourself.
And that often we get beautiful insights in the ceremony, and some people have instant breakthroughs and instant insights and transformations, but often, like Oscar said, it's the integration it will be a slow process, and you'll keep getting more and more information as the days and years go on. The first ceremony I ever did was 12 years ago, and I still get information from that ceremony. recently, I mean, specifically, it was a conversation that I had with my mom in that very first ceremony 12 years ago, where I wanted to express so many things that I hadn't been expressing. And literally 2 weeks ago, I was able to have that conversation openly with nothing behind it. So that's really the magic. The magic of this medicine is the gift keeps on giving. One more question that I have is, so Oscar has a retreat coming up this weekend for anyone who's local to Los Cabos. I'll be assisting you.
Yeah.
I'll be at his side
Thank you.
next to the altar assisting Oscar this weekend. But if anyone's interested in sitting in a ceremony with Oscar, you can, reach out here to me or to Oscar, and we'll get you in contact with him. So that's going to be this Saturday. But Oscar and I are also going to do a retreat in January. And this is a 3-day retreat. So I wanted to just ask you, what are some of the benefits and maybe not benefits and pros and cons, if there are any, of doing like 3 nights of ayahuasca together versus just one night? Just a little bit of the differences, because that's what our retreat will be, a 5-day retreat, and we're going to drink ayahuasca for 3 nights in a row.
Well, usually I say like the first ceremony is like the introduction of the Abuelita, the grandmother, to yourself, to your being, to your spirit, and you might go through a lot of process of your life and emotions and healing and all this consciousness, but the first one is like usually sometimes people feel like they are halfway, right? Like where they wanted to go, what they wanted to take care of in their life, and so they wait until the next ceremony in their life, maybe 3 months later, half a year later, 1 year later, sometimes like 3 or 4 years later. But if you do all this complete retreat, then you will have the chance what you didn't have the chance to work on the first night, to have the second one and really go in. Sometimes we, in our process, we know we have to like face one situation in our life, and fear comes up, and then we don't want to take that step the first night, because we feel like if we go in, we might not come back, or like it's going to be too strong for you, or you will be not able to handle it. But as you finish the first ceremony in the morning, you feel different, you feel so wonderful, you feel so peaceful, you're like, wow, I shouldn't go in, I shouldn't go deeper. Right? And so now you have the second night, like you have the chance to go deeper, like really, like, like give yourself to the medicine completely, like 100%. So then is what you receive, all these blessings, all this healing, all this deep healing, and you receive. The more you open up, the more you give up to the medicine, the more you receive. So. And then the third ceremony is to be like it's like a grateful night, for being grateful for this celebration for all these blessings, for all these gifts, for all this love, and yeah, so it's like a celebration and to close this cycle of healing. So that's the difference between one ceremony and doing a complete 3-day retreat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. That's been, I don't know if you even know my story, but that's how I started. The first time I drank ayahuasca, it was one night, and I went up and knocked on my neighbor's door that day. I was living in Portland, and I said, "Do people ever drink ayahuasca again?" And he said, "Of course." And he said, "Do you want to come to a retreat with me?" So I only ever did 3-day retreats. only
Oh,
ever.
okay.
After the first ceremony, I only ever sat for 3 nights in a row. And it's exactly like you explained. We've never had this conversation before, but that's exactly it. Of course, it could vary for every person, but I always felt like the first night was just that, the introduction, learning how to work with the medicine, learning how to even just work with your physical body, maybe purging some things out that and not everyone purges, but it's pretty common with this medicine if you do have something that is in your body that needs to be cleaned. And the second night was always that chance to really, really, like you said, go towards the fear, have a conversation with it, go deeper. And the third night was always a celebration. Always
Yeah.
a celebration to close the cycle out. Yeah.
And you know, sometimes even the first ceremony is also celebration. You know, you have periods of just like pure happiness and joy and wonderfulness, and it's like it's amazing. The first night sometimes it gives you the these magical gifts, right? Like you, like she said, like you said, Hollis, you purge maybe, you might cry for some healing, emotional healing, but also comes this harmony and happiness and beautiful, and yeah. So Abuelita gives you what you need. Like, okay, you need to clean up, you need to heal, but I give you some love also. Enjoy. It's about enjoying also, right? Not um, not always like a hard process all the time. So even the first time most of the people have beautiful moments. So enjoy.
There's always joy. There's always moments of that, especially afterwards.
Yes. And after that, it's dreams. The next week, you know, you might have more lucid dreams. You might receive information, messages in the dreams, or even in nature. You know, we pay more attention to the things we usually don't are aware of, like animals, birds, plants. You know, nature itself gives you information. Also, all this consciousness will come up.
Yeah, I want to say something too in regards to we started talking about the molecule DMT and the plants that are guardians, really, of all of these molecules that we gave them a name called psychedelics, but really the plants are just a catalyst to remind us who we are and what we're made of. I mean, our body is full of specifically the molecule DMT. You can look up and do your own research if you haven't heard much about it, but we have the most amount of DMT in our lungs. And so literally, if you think of, like Oscar just said, you know, it reminds us of being alive. It reminds us of the love and the joy and why we came here. We don't always experience that. Fear and pain and suffering are a part of our human experience too. But if you just think of every time you breathe in, it's a new chance to see something in a different way and change your perspective and change the way you want to change to better your experience here. And for others, it's just, you know, the plants amazing. And of course, we love working with the plants, but they are just a catalyst. They're just a reminder to help us see what's already in front of us. And I love that Oscar mentioned, like, after the ceremonies, you really do start to see things differently. And that for me, sometimes I forget, but I can just close my eyes and take a few breaths and remind myself that, yeah, I am love, and I'm here for a purpose, and I can do better the next time. You know, when we make mistakes, it's like, it's okay. You just keep trying and keep seeing the world in a more awakened state.
Yes, because it's very important to respect our process too. Sometimes we say, okay, oh, I want to heal. I want to like a big change in my life, and you want to do it from one tape to another, and it's sometimes it takes time. And we must respect our process, and we can do, little by little, slowly, or sometimes people decide to do a change from one day to another, and they feel okay. But if you don't feel ready to make those big changes, then respect your process. Just like, don't judge yourself if you go back to do the things that you don't want to do anymore, but you still do it. Don't feel bad about it, and don't judge yourself. Just like, it will, the day will come where you will not be doing it anymore. But yeah, it's all about respecting yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. It has so much to do with what I just shared too, in terms of seeing something that I knew was available to me 12 years ago, but I wasn't ready to have that conversation and be open and loving and forgiving yet, like I am now 12 years later. So it is about respecting the process and being patient with ourselves. We're human. We'll have a whole nother interview on multidimensionality, no timelines, no space, and what it's like to be in the cosmos. But really, we are here having a human experience. So coming back from getting introduced to what's possible for us in terms of having an experience and touching in with ayahuasca and what unconditional love is and what forgiveness means, and letting go of our fears and letting go of our mistakes and errors and judgments, and then when you come back into your life, there, like we've talked about, there's the real work. There's the real ceremony, is day by day, just how can you be a little bit better, take one step forward in the direction that you want to go in. And that's what we came here for. That's the human experience. That's the 3D experience. So luckily, we are in the midst of a huge consciousness awakening, a huge, massive awakening on planet Earth. I mean, look up Google 1111 if you're not into the woo-woo stuff, and you'll find all kinds of magic things to read about. But it's true. We're part of a plan that's much bigger than we can even imagine. The psychedelics specifically give us access to what we aren't able to see in our day-to-day life, but it's not about living there. It's not about, we didn't come here to be in oneness and to be in unconditional love all the time. We strive for that, maybe, but we also honor the process.
Right.
And all of the emotions that come with it, all of the mistakes that aren't ever mistakes, all of the lessons. Yeah. And Oscar said it a few times, even in that practice of going towards your fear, when you're going into the bad trip or you're going into the shadow, like even just that practice of going towards it is the lesson. We're always avoiding and resisting what we think might bring us pain, when usually that's exactly the way to go, in a ceremony or not in ceremony. So many beautiful gifts. So we set up an altar, but I think we're running out of time to go through all of the magic and beauty behind us. But we'll have another interview with Oscar. So if there's any more questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat. And I just wanted to say hi to Courtney. I saw that Courtney was on here. Hi, Simone. I'll send you information about the January retreat. And anyone on here, for the next 24 hours, I am going to offer a discount for the January retreat. We're going to have a retreat here in Southern Baja, the 19th to the 23rd, in a beautiful, the most magical place in the whole world here in Southern Baja. It's called Buena Fortuna Gardens, where it'll be hosted there by our beautiful friend Kitsia and her partner Victor. And so the setting is incredible. Oscar will be serving the medicine for 3 nights. It's a 5-day retreat. And then I'm going to be leading everyone through a preparation, through 4 weeks of preparation. 6 weeks of preparation, and then 4 weeks of integration afterwards with coaching and more of the inner work stuff. So you get really used to doing the inner work before you meet the medicine, which in my experience, I had beautiful experiences with medicine, but I had a really hard time integrating until I started to do the inner work. So that's what I'm going to help you do, is just introduce you to those processes and some of the psychology and some of the inner child work and trauma work, and just kind of get your mind and emotions prepared to meet the medicine. So anything else you'd like to share? My computer says that it's going to die in just a moment, so this is perfect timing. But if you want to share anything else before the computer dies.
No, well, thank you. If you already have been hearing about these medicines, you heard the word. That's how it came up to my life. You heard the word. It's around. It's for some reason. It's not just coincidence. It will come to your life, and it is for a good reason. To have it in your life until you feel that it's needed. So, but yeah, I invite you to welcome ayahuasca, Abuelita, in your life. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm just seeing all these comments. Okay, so hi Courtney, Simone, hi. Oh my gosh. Margie's coming to the retreat in January. Marce, hola Marce. Thank you everyone so much for tuning into the live. The replay will be here on this page forever. If you want to get a hold of Oscar, you know how to reach us here on Facebook. And again, thank you so much. Have a beautiful 11/11.